shout to the world. Big up all the Shaw family. Big up Turner, Spirit, all of the man them, C1, Lambi, Uncle Man, Liquor Tea, all of the Shaw family. You don't know. Shimmy, all of the man them, Screechy, Black Red. Yo. Oh well, you wanna be like me? 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 Bommy niggas, you little bommy niggas. Bommy niggas, you little bommy niggas. Bommy niggas, you ain't got beat. Bommy niggas, you ain't got juice. Bummy niggas, you ain't got heat. Bummy niggas, you little bummy niggas. Oh well, you wanna be like me? Oh well, you wanna be like me?
Everything in this video is documented in the public domain. The videos, images, and documents relating to solved and unsolved murders. In this video, I'll briefly discuss other individuals and groups to add further context to the story. This is the story of the One-Armed Bandit, Ricky Sweeney, aka Diany, whose presence was well feared in the borough of Brent and caused havoc on the streets of northwest London. This is the tale of one of northwest London's most dangerous gang members. During the 1990s, there was a group that was referred to as the Kick-Off Head Crew. They were a music group that performed in nightclubs and had block parties held throughout the borough of Brent. However, despite partaking in music, a lot of them were also gang members. Unfortunately, a lot of members throughout the 90s would go on to lose their lives due to horrendous circumstances due to the streets by either Yardies or other British-born gang members. I won't be highlighting too much detail, only some events. Some prominent members who passed away due to horrible circumstances were individuals such as Rudy King, who lost his life in 1993 while staying over in New York City and was killed by a group of Yardies allegedly for drugs and money. Members such as Gappy would lose his life in 1995 and Meshach in 1997. Buds, another beloved member, would lose his life in 1999 by a group of Yardies robbing him for his ring and shooting him in the head at point-blank range. In 2013, Shinehead would lose his life in the Luton area. But I'll get back to him later on throughout this video. Rudy, who also went by another street name called Taz, is the older brother of Diany. Rudy was a known figure from the northwest London area. He and his brother resided in the Kingsbury area, but later he would move to the Stonebridge Park estate where he would do youth work with the kids. He was a known dealer and would always move with other dealers residing in the St. Raphael's estate in the Neasden area. Rudy had ongoing tensions with members of the Kick-Off Head Crew, but it was mainly due to his ongoing tension with prominent member Meshach Walsh. Both Meshach and Rudy knew each other from a young age and growing up didn't get along. Because of this, members belonging to the Kick-Off Head Crew would give Rudy a hard time until war. One day, Rudy decided to take matters into his own hands. One night in the borough of Hackney, both Meshach and his brother Leon were about to enter the Trends nightclub. However, just before entering the venue, they were gunned down. Leon survived, however. His brother Meshach subsequently died from the gunshot wounds. Rudy was the trigger man. Despite members of the public knowing who carried out the murder and attempted murder, people didn't cooperate with the police. However, despite Rudy being a wanted man, he was still living carefree throughout the borough of Brent. Months later, while sitting inside his car, parked in the Willesden area, he was approached and shot in the head at point-blank range in broad daylight. He died shortly after. This brutal murder was revenge for the killing of Meshach. The Kick-Off Head Crew would also change their name to Must Love.
One more time, reaching out to the great side of this world, shall Palm Beach up here, play at the ball. Reaching out to the great side of
Diany, after finding out about the death of his older brother, transitioned into a life of crime overnight and began warring with the Kick-Off Head Crew. During the late 90s, mainly from 1998 to 1999, it was reported that Daini, despite being 18 years of age, would cause havoc in the streets alongside his friends, who formed the infamous Press Road Gang led by gang member Little T. Prominent members were Little T, Magic, Shimmy, who's the older cousin of British rapper Nines, and a few more. One day, prominent Kickoff head crew member Shine Head, who I briefly spoke about earlier in this video, was seen getting into his car when a Press Road crew member ambushed him and started shooting at point-blank range Head to accidentally reverse into a police station. This caused him to move out of London due to fear and was given a new identity. A lot of functions held by the Kickoff head crew would be shot up, and members from the Press Road crew didn't care if women and kids were present. What made the gang feared was that they were a bunch of young up-and-comers who didn't care who you were and wouldn't hesitate to make examples out of those who already had a notorious reputation. Mark Lambie, the infamous Tottenham gangster and gang boss of the TMD, grew a liking to Daini over the years. He was living in the Neasden area around this time, making connections throughout northwest and west London, such as Neasden, Kensal Green, the Mozart Estate, and the Stonebridge Park Estate. He spent his time making drug deals inside the high-rises. This was during one of London, England's most dangerous gang wars, TMD versus London Fields, which saw the deaths of many individuals from both gangs. He made connections with one of Daini's relatives, known as Suddy, who was one of the most infamous gang members from the Mozart Estate. He would unfortunately lose his life due to horrific circumstances, as he was shot to death at point-blank range while sitting in a car. Rumor has it he wasn't the intended target. The shooter was after Lambie, who got out of the car seconds before the gunman approached and opened fired. In 1998, Harlesden was titled the gun capital of London, and this was the same year Metropolitan Police created a new task force known as Operation Trident. This was set out to tackle black-on-black crime killings in boroughs such as Brent and Lambeth. However, the police wouldn't have as much luck during the first few years, due to many witnesses being scared to come forth and having a great distrust for the police due to discrimination. Harlesden had way too many gun-related incidences and unsolved murders, with any youths obtaining firearms and purposely calling themselves yardies as a form of intimidation, despite being British-born. In 1999, Marcus Charles, who was good friends with Daini, was a known dealer and had been given a drug line by a prominent individual from the Kingsbury area by the name of Fat J. He and his brother, Dada Mills, orchestrated a drug ring in the Graham Park estate and were known to be serious moneymakers. Because of this, Marcus was confronted in the Church End estate by a well-feared gangster called Bobby. Now, despite coming from the Harlesden area, he was the most prominent figure in the estate, and it was even rumored that guys such as Mark Lambie even feared him. Bobby demanded that Marcus give up his drug line. After refusing, Bobby shot him dead in a fit of rage and took his drug line off him. This selfish, brutal act of violence spread like wildfire and didn't take long for immediate retaliation to arise. This sparked immediate tit-for-tats. Despite Bobby being a wanted man for the murder of Marcus, he would still casually be in the streets, mainly both Harlesden and Willesden drug dealing. One day, Bobby got into a taxi, and while sitting inside on Harlesden High Road, Press Road crew pulled up. They stopped the taxi from driving off. Both gunmen and Bobby had gotten into a heated argument in front of hundreds of bystanders in broad daylight. This quickly escalated into Bobby being shot numerous times in a hail of bullets on a busy high road. This gangland execution sparked major operational Trident campaigns because it happened in such a crowded public place. After the murder of Bobby, the Press Road crew became one of the most feared gangs in the streets of northwest London. Members from the Press Road crew would do favors for Mark Lambie. It was alleged that he helped the shooters with the murder. Daini would become one of Mark Lambie's top soldiers. In the year 2000, Afa, who was a well-known dealer residing in the Harlesden area and well-beloved in the Church End estate, was shot dead 6 times in the back of his head, with his body being dumped river, floating face down. Police didn't find the body until the following day. It was alleged that members of the press road crew, including Diany, were the culprits. They were even arrested for it. However, due to insufficient evidence, they weren't found guilty, and his murder remains unsolved to this day. The following year, 2001, Mark Lambie, alongside members of the TMD, including Diany, kidnapped 2 Yardie drug dealers in the Broadwater Farm estate and demanded money. They all tortured them numerous times and went as far as to kidnap and torture innocent people for money. The police would later catch up with all the gang members, and they would later be charged for both drug possession and kidnapping.
Mark Lambie's story mirrors the story of the rise of violent street crime in the UK. He began as a small-time drug dealer. At the tender age of 21, he became head of the Tottenham Mandem crew, a violent gang of drug dealers. That's when he came to the attention of Detective Chief Inspector Peter Lansdowne of the Metropolitan Police.
His criminality was quite spontaneous. They could be out on a social function, literally step on somebody's shoes and end up in a shootout.
While on routine surveillance, Lansdowne's team followed Lambie and a convoy of gang members into the estate, unaware that it was the start of a series of events that would lead to Lambie's downfall.
In the early evening, it's getting dark. It's very difficult for the surveillance officers to actually see what's going on. The gang came down here into the underground car park. We didn't actually know what they were doing down here.
Robbing other drug dealers was a classic Yardie tactic. Now, Lambie, a British-born criminal, was about to use that same tactic on 2 Yardie drug dealers.
These 2 fellas turned up here in a nice blue Mazda sports car and were set upon by the gang. Approximately 10 people, mainly armed with handguns, jumped out, beat them, assaulted them and put them in the boots of 2 of the cars. Hammer that was used to hammer the toes of one of the victims. One had a kettle of boiling water poured over his genitals, and another one was ironed with an electric iron. You can see some of the blood on the bottom of the radiator there. It was everyday business for Lambie. It was extortion, drugs money, stealing cash from individuals.
Lambie and his gang began to target innocent victims.
They forced their way into the address and ransacked it. They attacked the 2 girls who lived there. Their children were tied up with gaffer tape, laid on the floor and basically stripped of their possessions of watches and jewellery. The gang lost control at this point. They were attacking people like a pack of hyenas. Within seconds, I'd resurrected the whole operation and we'd scrambled out to try and find Lambie and his associates somewhere in the Tottenham area.
It was to prove to be the beginning of the end for Lambie and his gang. Through the streets of North London, police chased a car carrying Lambie's henchmen and drugs stolen from the 2 Jamaican dealers, Smith and Morris.
The vehicle came down Stoneleigh Road here, clipped the curb and flicked up onto its roof and crashed. And a quarter of a kilo of heroin fell from the vehicle and burst across the road. Lambie started phoning Morris and Smith and made demands to the effect that a quarter of a kilo of heroin had been recovered by the police, and Morris and Smith owed him £5,000 in lieu of that drugs, and that if they didn't come up with the money, that they or their family would be killed.
With Lambie's gang behind bars, police soon swooped on Lambie himself. Lambie was sentenced to 12 years for kidnap and torture. But that's not the end of the story for Broadwater Farm and innocent.
Before Diany was arrested, he had an unfortunate motorbike incident that caused one of his arms to be permanently paralyzed, thus giving the name the One-Armed Bandit. While in jail, Diany's ex-girlfriend, Sophia Lewis, who already knew about the brutal murder he committed by killing rival Bobby in 1999, wanted to get back at him due to a breakup. She agreed to testify against Diany in exchange for her father to be released from jail. Members of the press road crew had been informed that Sophia was willing to testify against him, so they tried to bribe her. After numerous failed attempts to bribe her with money, members of the press road crew conspired in a plot to have her murdered. One day, Little T drove Sophia to the Stonebridge Park estate and told her to walk through an alleyway. Sophia wasn't aware of what would happen next, but as she walked through the dark alley, Shimmy opened fire, hitting her all over her body, in the face, chest, and back. As Sophia fell to the ground, she almost met her demise until the gun exploded in Shimmy's hand. Miraculously, Sophia survived and was taken to the hospital. And instead of being traumatized and not going to court, she continued to testify and help convict Diane, including members of the press road crew who tried to kill her. She was named as Britain's bravest woman. Diane, Little T, and Shimmy were all prosecuted and locked up for their crimes. After their arrest and convictions, the press road crew would still cause havoc in the streets. In 2003, younger members to be given the first mass antisocial behavior order. 7 members would purposely travel to the notorious Chalk Hill estate located in the Wembley area, which is one of the biggest estates in London. The gang members would approach residences' homes, set fire to people's cars, and even piss on people's front doors. Press Road had an intense rivalry with the Chalk Hill Boys, led by gang leader Peanut. They would also go on to have an intense rivalry with the South Kilburn gang, led by gang leader MG. Despite being one of the smallest gangs in the Northwest, they were one of the most feared and dangerous during the 90s and 2000s. This is the tale of the One-Armed Bandit.
Be like me. Oh well, you wanna be like me. Oh well, you wanna be like me. My shower niggas, real niggas. My shower niggas, making mad figures. My shower niggas, busting mad triggers. My shower niggas, and make it rain niggas. Jeez. Oh well, you wanna be like me. Oh well, you wanna be like me. Yo, show to the world, you know. Nothing to change and rearrange, you know. Me and them dying, you know. Any boy try to
Sure.
Know the thing, dog. You see me? Nothing to change and rearrange. Show to the world.